and the content. This is a anatomy physiology class that has not only the anatomy, the physiology, but also the pathology. It has all three of those things in this class. And we have 147 and we have 148, and each one of them is covering different chapters, but the learning outcomes are basically the same between the 147 and the 148. It's just that we have different systems in each of the classes. And so you're going to be able to not only learn the structure of the heart, so what's in the heart, how many chambers are in the heart, how does the blood flow through the heart. You're going to learn the physiology of how the heart works versus the electrical system of the heart. And then you're going to learn about pathology. So you're going to learn about diseases, disorders that affect the heart. And so the diseases that you are learning about in these courses are ones that relate directly to you as the medical assistant. These are the ones that you are going to be helping clients and patients with every day as they come in and out of the clinic. And one of the things that I want you to see here is that I have linked all of the courses that I teach inside the inside the medical assistant program to the American Association of Medical Assistants certification exam. So when you're done with this program, you're going to take an exam, and you have to pass that exam in order to then get a job as a medical assistant. So what I want you to know is that my courses are created with the exact same content that you have to know when you take this certification exam. So there isn't busy work in my courses. It's very structured, it's very scaffolded, it's very laid out in a linear motion, and it hits all, not just the learning objectives that you need for our program, but you're also studying for the certification exam whether you know it or not, because these are the diseases. I don't need to take the medical certification exam, but I do. Every few years, I walk in and I pay the money, just like you will, and I take the exam. And you might be thinking, why would Jamie do that? I do that because I want to see that exam. I want to know what you're going to feel like when you sit in that booth. And you have to sit in there and you can't go to the bathroom, you don't have any breaks, you have to, for 2 hours, take the certification exam. And I want to make sure that what I'm teaching to you in the classroom is directly relates to that certification exam. So I've taken a lot of time to make sure that I stay fresh and current with that, as well as staying fresh and current with the real world, right? Because there's the book world of how you do something, and then it might be slightly different depending on which clinic that you work in and how those doctors work with medical assisting. So that's kind of my course content, learning objectives, and how it relates. First thing you're going to need is the textbook. You can buy this textbook at the bookstore. You can buy it on Amazon. I also have 12 copies of this book available for checkout in the library, at the Whatcom Community College Library. So if funds are difficult, if you're on financial aid and for some reason your money hasn't come through yet and you don't have money to go get the book, go check one out. Every class that I teach at Whatcom Community College, I purchase at least 12 books and put them in the library, because I think it's important that you are able to access those books. I know that I would have never gotten through college if I didn't have an instructor who actually put a copy of every single one of our textbooks in the library. That's how I made it through, because I didn't have a lot of money back then to buy textbooks. So I know that textbooks are expensive. So you've got three options. You've got the bookstore, you've got Amazon, or maybe something else that you find online, and the library, you can check it out. Make sure you get a new book. It's important because we're going to be there's a code inside this book that links you to a number of amazing resources as a student. And the resources that they link you to are the exact same, like practice quizzes. I use the exact same, a lot of the questions on my exams are based off of these student resources. So it's important that you get a new book so that you can scratch off this code and be able to just explore the wealth of knowledge, and there's all sorts of like memory games and all sorts of really great resources for students with this textbook, which is why I always come back to it. I mean, I started using it when it was in its first edition, and we're up to 14, and that's how much I like this textbook. We're going to cover these chapters right here. We're going to start with the organization of the human body. We're going to start with, then we're going to have disease and disorders, skeletal system, muscles, the heart and heart disease, respiratory system, the lymphatic system, and immunity. So that's what we're going to cover in 147. And let me tell you how my course is set up. Now, in my medical terminology, it's set up on weekly modules. This is a little bit different. I've taught anatomy physiology enough over the years to kind of come up with a strategy of what really works for students, and I really value student feedback, and that's why my course is designed the way it is because I've gotten lots of feedback from students on what works and what doesn't. And with anatomy physiology, what I found is that if I take the material and I put it in chunks, in modules, if I group chapters that link together and have an exam, students do better than if I just gave you an exam every single week on all of these different systems. That would be a lot of testing, and you need time to absorb anatomy physiology. So this is a 4-credit lecture class. So if you were sitting in the face-to-face class and you had a 4-credit lecture class, if you were taking my class face-to-face, you would be sitting in the chairs at Whatcom Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9:30 to 12:10. So that's a lot of time. And then plus you would be studying on the outside of that as well at home. Here, since it's all online, you're doing all of that on your own. I mean, I'm here guiding you and helping you as much as I can, but it's a big responsibility to take anatomy physiology online. It's a big commitment. And so what I've done is I've grouped the information into modules. So you have 4 modules for the entire course. And the modules have varying amount of weeks of when they're open and when they're closed. And the reason for that is it depends on the material. Like this first module doesn't require as much time as, say, the heart and the respiratory system. The first one is about the organization of the human body, basic anatomical terms. They also relate directly to what you're learning in medical terminology. So it doesn't take you as much time to go through that material versus the heart and the respiratory system are pretty complex. So this course is divided into 4 modules. Like I said, I've grouped the chapters with what goes well together and what goes well together on an exam. So for every module, you have a review assignment, then you have a pathology assignment, and you have an exam. So right here on day 1, you know when every single thing is due in my course. I won't change these dates. I don't move these dates. I do this because you guys are busy. I know you're busy as not just students, but as people with jobs and family and friends and taking care of kids. So I think that it's important that on day 1, you could take a calendar that's on your fridge and you could write all the due dates of when things are due in Jamie's class, and you know they're not going to change. And the reason is just so it's consistent, and so you can prepare, and so you can look ahead and you can say, oh my gosh, I'm going to be gone this weekend. I'm going to need to take the test on Friday before I leave because I'm going to a place that doesn't have internet because we're going to Winthrop or something. I mean, you're going to be able to pre-plan your life around these due dates. So everything is set right there of the due dates and what we'll be studying. The very first module, every module looks the same. I also think it's important that you have consistency in what you see in a course. So every module will have a little bit of an overview. Then it will give you a list of tasks that you need to work through as a student. There'll always be some type of a video, whether it's me lecturing or a podcast like this, or me attaching a video somewhere else. Sometimes there are such great videos that I have found online for anatomy physiology that I really can't recreate that in the classroom. For instance, this one on directional terms, it's kind of hard for you to see the board when I'm writing on it, versus some of the other videos you're going to see that I've imported into this course. They're well done. You can see them. There's subtitles and there's a transcript, so I do my best to use my own voice and my own videos, but at the same time, I realize that there's a lot of great stuff out there that is done in a way that might be better for the student to sit and listen to. It might be a little bit more entertaining than just listening to my voice. So I have a mixture of those in our courses. So you're going to see the lecture content, and then you're going to see, I call it a study guide. Students love these. That's why I have them in here. This is basically every single question that is on the first exam. So if you can answer all of these and write them down and get them in your brain, you're studying for the exam right here. And I make it accessible in a Word document so you could type out your answers. Or some students, writing is what helps them memorize. So maybe they're going to print this out and they're going to write the answers down. And I even give you the page numbers. So these study guides, the students who get an A in my course, because I survey you at the end of the course, they always say, they always come back to these study guides, how helpful these were to help them, guide them, going through the material. So you'll always see a study guide. And then, you've read the chapter now, you've worked through the study guide on your own. Now you're going to have a review assignment. And these are, again, in a Word document, so you can open them up. They're short answer, they're matching, I do a little bit of like true and false in there. So I try to do a number of different types of questions, but the review assignment is helping you draw back to that chapter and pull out what's most important. And you turn these in. For every assignment that you see in my class, there's a rubric on how you're graded, so you can always know, hey, how does Jamie come up with the points for this? So there's a review assignment, and then there's always a pathology assignment. And this first one is pretty fun, I think. This is just a 24-minute video from the Discovery Channel. It's called The Body Snatchers. And basically, Holly gets the flu. And so we watch her in real life as she's getting the flu. It talks about the signs and the symptoms of the flu. Then it takes us inside her body with animation, and you can see the virus attacking her cells. And, is a fever bad? Should you take Tylenol as soon as you get a fever, or should you let the fever go for a little while? Like, what is the purpose of a fever? Why would your body give you the fever? And so, your body does it to increase your internal temperature and to try and get rid of the virus. So this is a very entertaining video with a few questions, and the video does an excellent job of describing what happens when someone gets the flu. And so it's a way of taking that chapter 5 on disease and kind of bringing it to life. And so the pathology assignments are different. Some of them are videos like this, some of them are questions, some of them are kind of like a discussion board type of activity, but you will see that as well. And then there will be an exam. So that is how MA 147 works, and I'm super excited to teach to you, and I hope that you know that I am just a phone call or an email away. I know that it's intimidating when you first start learning online and going through an online program, and I think that just remembering that I'm just a phone call away, and sometimes just talking to me can be so much better than an email. And so my phone number is on there. Just give me a call and we can talk about a question that you can't find or that you're stuck on. Okay, I look forward